solar power has exploded in popularity. From solar farms to rooftop panels, it's everywhere. It's a positive sign of the expansion and normalization of renewable energy, but there are a few significant challenges that need to be overcome if it's to grow further. Let's take a quick look at how photovoltaic solar panels work. If you take a sheet of silicon and expose it to light, electrons are knocked out of it. If we swap that sheet for two sheets of silicon, one doped with phosphorus and the other with boron, we get a positively charged sheet and a negatively charged sheet. Connect them together, expose them to light, and hey presto, we have electrical power. Solar panels have been around for quite a while. The photovoltaic effect was first discovered all the way back in 1839, but the first practical application of the technology happened in the 1950s. These initial panels were expensive and inefficient, but as the technology improved, so did the panels. The last decade has seen huge improvements in the economics of solar technologies. In 2009, a megawatt hour of solar power cost around $360. In 2017, that same amount of power only cost around $50, and this cost reduction trend is continuing. Some of the huge cost reduction of solar has come about through technological improvement, but a large portion of it has come from economies of scale. As the demand for solar has increased, more manufacturers have begun producing the panels and the individual cost per panel has plummeted. This increased demand and price reduction is evident in the figures for solar energy generation. In 2008, worldwide solar energy production was around 12.5 terawatt hours. Just 10 years later, that figure has increased 45-fold to nearly 585 terawatt hours. There are many benefits to using solar power. With traditional power sources, such as natural gas-fueled power stations, the power generated has to be transmitted to where it's needed. This transmission has inefficiencies and depends upon costly infrastructure, which can be unaffordable to poorer countries or simply impractical in more remote areas. Solar power can be produced where it is going to be used, which bypasses all these problems. Solar panels also require very little in terms of upkeep. Traditional power generation relies on complex machinery with many moving parts, which of course wear out. Solar panels have no moving parts, so the only maintenance involved is occasional cleaning. So, solar panels are an excellent choice in many ways, but they are best used as a secondary power source. This brings us to the drawbacks. Solar power is intermittent. You won't be gathering energy at nighttime, or when it's cloudy, or when it's raining, or raining, or raining, or raining. Power demand is not intermittent, so to use solar as a primary power source, we need to store the energy that it generates for use on demand. The obvious solution is to pair solar panels with batteries. This is used to great effect in things like calculators, and can even be scaled up to power a house. Tesla has its Powerwall, which does just that. The panels charge the battery, and the battery discharges when the power is needed. Simple. Except of course that the creation of such batteries has significant environmental impacts, not to mention the cost. Some of the materials used are in short supply as well. Take cobalt, a metal vital in the production of lithium-ion batteries, the kind used in our smartphones, electric vehicles, and the Tesla Powerwalls. 55% of the world's production of cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo, a Central African country fraught with political instability, civil wars, and human rights atrocities. This makes the supply of this vital material exceedingly volatile, and thus raises serious concerns about the sustainability of lithium-ion batteries. There are of course other methods of storage. A hydroelectric power plant generates energy through using falling water to turn a turbine. Combine this with a solar plant and you can pump water back up to a higher level when there is excess power generation, and let it fall back down when enough power isn't being generated. This particular storage method is very dependent on the local geography, and all methods of power storage come with their own inefficiencies, so there's no simple solution. The intermittent nature of solar power generation is not unique. Wind power suffers from the same reliability issues, as does hydropower, which is dependent on rainfall. The issue of sourcing raw materials is not limited to power storage construction. The production of the solar panels themselves requires the use of some difficult to source materials, such as indium. Indium itself is fairly abundant, but it isn't found in high concentrations, unlike elements such as iron or aluminium. This means that indium itself cannot be economically mined, and it is only produced as a byproduct of mining other materials such as zinc. The demand for indium is increasing alarmingly fast, meaning that demand may outstrip supply as early as 2030. The refining process of indium and other raw materials used in solar panels can generate toxic and even radioactive byproducts, making safe and environmentally sound extraction exceedingly difficult. Most developed countries don't mine these sort of materials, even if they have the deposits within their borders. Instead, it is left to the developing countries where labour is cheaper and environmental and worker safety standards are less stringent. Putting aside the obvious ethical concerns, this is not a particularly sustainable system. Developing countries have a tendency to, well, develop. As countries get richer, their citizens expect higher pay, safer working conditions, and better environmental protections, making the mining of these materials less and less desirable. If solar energy is to continue to expand, these are problems that need to be addressed. Efforts are being made to diversify the materials that are used in production, hopefully allowing for solutions to the resource procurement issues. Solar is only one of many renewable energy sources, and as other segments grow, such as wind and hydroelectric, they can work in synergy and mitigate some of the drawbacks. As we've seen, there is no single solution to the world's power demands, but solar will surely play an important role. If you liked the video, perhaps consider subscribing.